Hi, I'm Tiffany Thieme, mortgage advisor with American Dream Mortgage, and I am here with Tom Thieme of Synergy Realty Group. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing good this morning, Tiffany. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah. Well, we are going to talk about what is a buyer's agent and why would a buyer want a buyer's agent?
Well, you really need a buyer's agent when you do a real estate transaction because it's kind of like hiring a lawyer when you need that help or a CPA to help you with your taxes. But the good news is, unlike a lawyer and a CPA, we come free for a buyer. We get totally paid by the seller. Now, how's that for great service?
Yeah, that's great. So the buyer doesn't pay anything for a buyer's agent commission.
That is correct. The usual
Tapping?
arrangement
Okay.
here in
It's
Colorado,
very
the seller pays all the commissions for both agents. So my full set of services as a buyer's agent doesn't cost the buyer anything.
That's pretty good. So why
It
would
is.
you want one, right?
Exactly, because this is a complicated process, and you need that representation to make sure that everything goes well for you.
Mhm.
Would you go to court without a lawyer?
No.
Would you do your own surgery on yourself?
Oh, no.
No. So it's really no different. Hiring a buyer's agent guides you through the process. They understand the steps that have to happen, all the rules, all the regulations that go into the processes and the requirements. Most people only buy a home once every 5 to 7 years. I do this every day. It's my job. It's my profession. I have to stay current on everything from rules and regulations, guidelines, updated processes, contracts. Here's something that most people don't know out there in the real world. A real estate agent is granted a limited license to practice law in regards to a real estate transaction for their client. Doesn't mean I can go out there and, give advice to everybody, but once the client signs an agency agreement with me, I get to be their legal counsel in regards to contract documents related to the purchase of their home.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting, and it's pretty unique in the country for us here in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, as a buyer, I would definitely want to know what I'm getting into and what I'm signing as far as the documents and contracts.
Right. And like I said, we do this every day. I'm very familiar with the contracts, what's where in there and where all the caveats and the pitfalls are. And then most of the contract issues that ever arise from a real estate transaction happen in just a few areas. So unless you're in the profession and you do this, you don't really know that.
What are some added benefits other than contracts that you as a buyer's agent would offer your buyer?
Well, first and foremost, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I call and talk to a buyer and I update them for 2 minutes, that's generally a summary of 1, 2, 3, several hours of work that I've done on the backside. Kind of like that duck floating on the water where all you see is the calm little duck, but underneath he's kicking like crazy.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
me. So I tell you, hey, this is what's happening, but it's taken a lot of work to get there. And we leverage that. I come with a team. Lenders, insurance people, inspectors, handymen, you name it. When you work with a buyer's agent, they generally have a whole team of professionals that they trust, that they work with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And how many home inspectors does the average person know? How many mortgage lenders does the average person know? Well, I know dozens of each.
Yeah.
And most buyer's agents are the same way. So that's the big thing, is that it's like a force multiplier for any buyer. One phone call and they can get any question they have answered. We can marshal the forces, so to speak, to get work done and to make things happen for that buyer.
Yeah, that is a good point. Having one source during a complex transaction of buying a house. If you need something, just call your buyer's agent and they have the team of professionals set up to handle about anything that you need throughout the transaction.
Right. You know, most buyers, they're hardworking people. They have to be. They're buying a home, right? So they don't have 2 hours a day to call the appraiser, to call the inspector, to follow up with the lender. They can get all that done with a simple call, a quick call, or a quick text to their buyer's agent. And then it's kind of like a fire and forget missile. It's like, hey, Tom, I need this. Boom, I'm on it. And then I get back to them that day, next day, whatever the requirement is, and problem solved. Question answered, whatever the case may be.
That is worth every penny that you would get paid.
Yes. You know, a lot of people think, hey, being a real estate agent's easy. You just kind of open the doors and people come flooding in. But it's a lot of hard work and a lot of specialized knowledge that goes into professionally, adequately helping people in this process.
Yes, I agree. And it's hard for the public or buyers to understand everything that goes into the transaction behind the scenes and how each individual is really working hard for their benefit.
That's right. That's right. And that's why the industry in general is so heavily regulated at the state level to make sure that the consumer, the buyers, and the sellers out there are getting the help and the professional assistance that they need to do these transactions. Because there's a lot at stake. This is the biggest financial investment and transaction for most people in their whole lives, is when they buy and sell.
Yeah. Can you help me find more properties?
Yes. So we hear this a lot. That's okay. I like to use Zillow to look for homes, right? But not every home is listed on Zillow. We have rules within the local Pikes Peak Association of Realtors that if a licensed agent sells a home, they have to put it on the local listing system. We do that so that we can create that list of all the homes that are for sale. But that listing agent doesn't have to share it with Zillow or Realtor or Trulia or any of those places. That's entirely up to them as to whether they do that or not. So yeah, not every home is available on Zillow. And then a lot of these places do this with like data exchanges across the internet, and it's not real-time data. So the biggest thing we run into is you find a home on Zillow that you absolutely love and you want to call your buyer's agent and go see that home this afternoon because you're ready to make an offer on it, only to discover that it went under contract 2 weeks ago. So by working with a buyer's agent, you get access to more homes with that real-time information so that you're always looking at the homes that are available for you to buy.
That's good. Then you're not spinning your wheels, and getting your hopes up when.
That's right. And you're not out there trying to hit all the websites to verify the information. You've got a buyer's agent. You say, hey, Tom, I like these 3 homes. Are they available? Can I go see them tomorrow? And then you hang up. And like I said before, I go to work and I do a lot of stuff to make that happen for us to go see 3 homes tomorrow. And then you get a phone call back and it says, I'll meet you at 10 tomorrow morning. And that was the extent of your investment in making, 3 showings. I have a support staff that helps me with that because it's so much work. Like I said, we come with a team. So how do you find a buyer's agent? How would you find a buyer's agent, Tiffany, if you weren't in the industry and knew 500 of us?
Well, I would start by asking some friends in the area who have bought a house before. I might ask a lender if they work with a group of agents and who would they recommend.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on track. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, coworkers, the people you go to church with. All of those folks are great resources because they've probably bought or sold a home here in the last several years and worked with an agent on either selling or buying. So that is the perfect place to start. Most real estate agents, we run small businesses. we work on referrals and word of mouth. Yeah, there's other ways that we can find business, but we prefer to, work with those folks that we know already. We love to help people, and then going back and helping the friends of a past client. It's just another little feather in our cap that, we're out there helping real people make real changes in their lives. So those are the perfect ways to find a real estate agent. So I have this cool little document that says your guide to buyer's agent. I hope you can see that there.
Yeah.
I provide this free to every lead that I make contact with, whether they end up working with me or not, because I want them to know what they should be looking for with a buyer's agent. Like I said, single most important buyer financial transaction that they're going to have in their lifetimes. And, they might do it multiple times a lifetime. But still, I do this every day, and they do it once every 5 years, once every 7 years. So this document is available. Most buyer agents have something similar to kind of tell folks what they're looking for. One of the important things we talked about finding a buyer agent is don't go with the first guy you talk to. You're open and free to interview multiple agents because you have to trust the person that you work with. And if they don't have the confidence, the knowledge, the experience, the personality, you're never going to trust them, and it's going to be a difficult transaction.
Yeah.
So, like I said, ask your real estate agent for something about this if they haven't offered to you already. I'm about a 70% buyer agent, meaning I focus mostly on buyers and I pick up listings from that process, people that sell their home and want to buy something else. I've chosen that because I really like working with buyers, but it's also important to do some listings, because if you don't do the listings, you'll never understand what you need on the buyer side as well. So that, just as a teaser, is one of those questions that you ought to be asking your future buyer agent.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have Tom on again, and I'll have Tom's contact below so you can call him when you're looking to buy a home and interview him, go out one day, get to know Tom a little bit better. He's a great guy. And do you have any closings?
Just do your due diligence and understand that it's always in your best interest to have that representation on these real estate transactions. And real estate agents, as a general rule, we love to talk. So we love to sit down and have coffee with people, and there's never any kind of obligation or pressure from the good agents out there to do anything more than sit and talk to somebody. So
Good to know. Yeah, good to get the information and not feel pressured to go with one individual or not, but to be educated in the process and know what to do.
That's right.
People don't know what their next steps are and how to go about buying a home. So that's right. Very good.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Tiffany. It's been a good conversation. I look forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks, Tom. And we'll put his contact here below so you can give him a call when you are looking to buy a home.
All right. Thanks, everybody.